So my first question is, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur?
What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? I think, I don't know if I know what it means, but I know maybe why somebody becomes an entrepreneur. And there's usually something in a person's life that makes them realize they want to be able to do things based on their own decisions. And, with me, I mean, obviously I worked for so many companies that went bankrupt. I just kept looking at it and said, I can do better than this, because I would observe all these different businesses I worked for. And I think probably one of the ultimate things why somebody would say, as far as what it means or why you become one, is as weird as it sounds, you're looking for freedom and being able to make your own choices. The irony to it is, a lot of times when you make that choice, that means you've got choices and you end up choosing to work 18 hours a day, all right? Instead of somebody telling you you have to do it, it's a choice that you make. So I think true entrepreneurship to me means two things. You get to make your own choices to determine your own life, and you have the freedom to do those things. It's like the same reason I became a pilot. It just gives you freedom to do things that maybe other people don't choose, to do.
Perfect. All right, thank you. And then second, what do you think I should learn in an entrepreneurship course?
I think the thing that you have to probably just listen and observe and decide, once they describe, because usually they describe characteristics of an entrepreneur. Right. You have to look at and say, do I have those characteristics? Do I even want to develop those characteristics? Or am I more the kind of person that would rather have the security of a job, which people do, which is fine. Which saying, I want to work my 40 hours a week, and I want to have my own life, beyond work. And because when you choose to become an entrepreneur, there's really not a separation between your life and your work, which I'm not saying is a bad thing.
Right.
I mean, my passion my whole life has been business and working out. So it doesn't matter that that's what my life is, even if I'm not here. If I am away, I may go, sit in Starbucks somewhere and work, and I have many times worked 12 hours straight on presentations, putting ideas together, and the 12 hours goes by like that, because I'm so engaged with what it is that I'm doing. So it doesn't matter whether I'm in the work environment or away from the work environment. But that doesn't mean I don't also say, okay, now time to totally get away 100%,
right,
not do any work, because I know it's important also to recharge. And so you learn how to get the mixture of the two. In the beginning, when you first start a business, there's not too much of that other stuff.
Yeah.
There's not too much of that other
Right.
stuff. And you may go long periods of time where you're working 18, 20 hours a day, because to get things done, you have to do it. But you don't look at it as, oh, I've got to do this. You just do it because you do it.
Right.
That's
right.
why.
And then lastly, what do you wish you would have been taught in school before setting out on your own path as an entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, I was never taught anything in school about entrepreneurship. I never took a business class.
Wow.
So I don't know. I was always able to figure things out.
Right.
Someone would come to me and say, well, you need to know finance and this and that. And I said, somehow I figured it all out and how to make it work. And I figured out how to save money. I figured out how to put money into the business. I figured out how to do the two, simultaneously. When it comes to, I don't know if you go to school to learn how to treat people. I learned how to treat people growing up. I learned it by watching my parents. So you learn certain values, and I don't think those values that you have as a human being are any different than the values you have in your business. And I've heard it explained once, you should work with all your people to figure out what they believe the values of the company are. And if you like them, you should be happy, and if you don't like them, you should understand they're your values.
Right.
Because other people can observe you and know what your values are. And if you own a company, those values go through the whole company, right? I mean, how do you stay away from who the leader is? So I think as far as learning stuff in school, no, I learned things in life. I mean, I learned things by, my first year in the business, I worked for 11 different managers,
Wow.
when I was 20 years old. And a lot of them were really bad. They're bad managers.
And all very different too, I'm sure.
They were, but the one thing that I learned to do was don't focus on what they do bad. Try and figure out something that they do right. I mean, I could tell you a very simple one. I mean, fortunately, my parents were tough. My father was
Right.
military. When I say tough, I mean, they were loving, but
Yeah, it's-
they expected you to do stuff. So, I got my first job with 92 customers in the paper route when I was 10. And when I was 16, on my birthday, I got my first job working in a hamburger. On my birthday, I started at 5 o'clock at night. I was even
Wow.
thinking that this is unfair. But anyway, that's how it happened. But I learned stuff, when I was 16. I remember one night, I was on the counter, right? And I was making the milkshakes for
Right.
people. And they were too light. There just wasn't enough substance. And I said to the manager, his name was Jim, I said, "Hey, Jim, there's something wrong with the milkshake maker. The milkshakes are coming out too light."
Right.
And he goes, "Oh, we'll make more money." That was his response to me. And I said, "Okay." So I kept pouring the milkshakes. 10 minutes later, there were 25 people that were at the counter with their milkshakes. And we had to replace every single one of them, which I did with a smile on my face.
Right, absolutely.
And which I don't think I had to learn from a person like him that you do it right the first time. You don't try and cheat people. You do it the best quality right from the start. I don't think I had to learn that from him, but I saw it. I saw it in action, and I also learned about a sense of humor when things are very stressful in business and in life. And it was same thing. 16 years old. I'm making hamburgers now. I'm working the grill, and the managers work in the front because it was 10:45 at night, and we closed at 11. So we were kind of cleaning up, and all of a sudden, 3 buses pulled up out front. The entire restaurant was jam-packed. I am going like a madman, making like 48 hamburgers at a time. And,
Right.
and the manager, who was quite a bit older than me, knew I was stressed. And I remember he turned around, he looked at me, he goes, "Hey, Joe, what did Custer say when he looked up and saw the Indians?" I said, "I don't know what to say." He goes, "Where the blank did all these Indians come from?" And I remember I burst out laughing when he said it.
Right.
And so it took all the pressure off. So now I
Right.
knew I just had to do it. It didn't matter whether I did it under pressure or with no pressure. I was still going to get the job done, but it was a lot better
Then
than having no pressure. Do it, but just doing it. And the interesting thing is, in May, I'm going to Little Bighorn, where Custer's last stand
Really?
was. Yeah, yeah.
oh, awesome.
So it's all coming back together.
Yeah.